A very good morning to you. You are tuned into Tujenge FM, where we discuss matters that affect our society. This is Angela Bombe. Today, we delve into a pressing matter that has affected our society for decades: gender-based violence.
He choked me, akanilisha kwa kitanda, and then he removed my trousers and stuff.
Vile niliwapata pale, nilijawa na hasira sana. Na nikamuuliza mke wangu kwa nini amefanya hivyo. Mke wangu alianza kunitukana na kuniambia maneno mabaya, kuniita maneno ambayo siwezi kuyataja hapo.
Gender-based violence is a universal health, human rights and development concern. Today we are joined by Maureen Kawira, who is a counseling psychologist at Usikimye, an NGO that is working towards ending the prevalence of GBV. She tells us what gender-based violence is.
Gender-based violence is a wide term for any form of abuse that is meted on someone. It can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be psychological, and it can also be economical. So gender-based violence is not the term that we normally know for physical violence. It is wide. So like the ones I've mentioned, the categories, they fall under sexual violence, where you have rape, you have defilement, which is sexual violence against underage children. You have sexual harassment. You have indecent exposure to minors. That is also part of sexual violence. You have physical violence, which is now punching, biting, scratching. You have psychological violence, emotional abuse. There is verbal abuse. Even silent treatment in a marriage is emotional abuse. We have economical violence, where someone is earning a living. They don't want to provide. They don't want to take the children to school. They withhold money, or they will withhold money because of other reasons. We have denial of resources. You're a parent. As much as your child is over 18, you can afford to educate them, and you choose not to. That is also a form of abuse, and it causes them a lot of psychological torture. So those are the common forms of GBV.
In most cases, these acts are perpetuated by men on women and girls. However, Kenya has expanded the definition to include violence against men and boys. In a world dominated by stillness, contrary to stereotypes and societal norms, in a world often focused on the struggles that are faced by the girl child, we turn our attention to a less discussed but equally critical issue: gender-based violence among men. We embark on the process of unveiling hidden stories, the challenges of stereotyping, intervention, causes and prevention of GBV. As we step into the grounds of a high school in the green city of Nairobi, we are greeted by the familiar symphony of youthful energy. Amidst the vibrant energy where hallways echo with laughter and enthusiasm of its youth lies a complex tapestry woven with elements of hidden struggles. John, which is not his real name, is a 16-year-old boy in Form 2. He tells us his ordeal.
It happened 6 years ago. I was 10 years, and there were these two guys. They used to live in the same neighborhood. So when I would go outside to play, they would always play with me. It was kind of awkward because they were older than me. One of them was 20 years, the other one was 12. So they just started playing with me, buying me stuff. You know, when I was a kid, like, so you want to become friends with them. So I became friends with them. I started going to their place. So one day, I don't know what happened. I think he was drunk. He choked me, akanilisha kwa kitanda, and then he removed my trousers and stuff. And then he did it. Doing it, I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anyone, because even at home there were also problems with my mom. So it was so overwhelming. So after that day, and then the second day I went out to play, telling myself that was just a dream. And then his brother did it again to me. So it was scary because I didn't know what to do. There's a time again they tried to do it to me, but I refused. I screamed. They ended up throwing me in a latrine that was just dark. So it took 3 hours for my parents to find me. It damaged me. It damaged my personality. It damaged everything in me. And I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how implement it in my life. It has made me like be more anxious. It has made me be an introvert. I stay mostly in the house.
The exclusion of the boy child begins right at the grassroots. They are, however, considered as vulnerable and weak when they speak up, hence no attention is given. Grace, also not her real name, is a guidance and counseling teacher at Jones High School. She sheds more light on the same.
I think the boy child is suffering because of social-cultural norms. The boy has been made to assume that since they are masculine, they should just be silent about things that happen. They don't want to voice it out. They'll be looked at as though they are weak. They'll be considered, or they'll be framed like, why are you behaving like the weaker sex in this case?
In Kenya, 1 in every 5 Kenyan male has experienced an episode of sexual violence before attaining the age of 18, while 11% of ever married men have experienced either form of violence. In a quiet village, we find the home of Kiplagat, also not his real name, a middle-aged man withered by the emotional storms within his own household. He tells us his ordeal.
Nilikuwa nimeoa. Alafu kuna rafiki yangu alikuwa anaishi Nairobi. Kanitafutia kazi. Kwa hivyo mimi nilitoka nyumbani na nikakuja huko Nairobi. Miezi ikasonga, nikakuwa nashughulikia familia yangu wakuwa pale nyumbani, singeweza kuja na wao kwa sababu sikuwa najua vile mambo vile nitaipata huko Nairobi. So nikawa nawashughulikia kuwa pale nyumbani, bibi na watoto wangu na mama na baba wakuwa pale nyumbani, juu wote walikuwa wananitegemea. So vile miezi ilikuwa inaendelea, nikaanza kusikia fununu kutoka kwa marafiki na majirani kuwa kuna mwanaume alikuwa anakuja pale nyumbani na ule bibi yangu alikuwa anaonekana na wanaume tofauti tofauti pale nyumbani. Mimi nilipenda bibi yangu sana na sikutaka nisikize watu. Nilikuwa naona kuwa wanawivu na wataki ndoa yangu iwe nzuri. Kwa hivyo sikuwasikiza sana. Lakini vile miezi ilikuwa inaendelea, nikaona watu wanazidi kuniambia na hao watu hawezi kuwa wanaongea kitu ambacho hakiko. Kwa hivyo siku moja nikajipanga, nikaamua mimi mwenyewe nitajipeleka pale nyumbani nijionee vile mambo inaendelea. Kwa hivyo asubuhi moja nilifunga safari, nikaenda mpaka nyumbani na nikaingia kwa nyumba ya ndugu yangu. Ilikuwa ni masaa ya jioni hivi. So nilikuwa nimekaa pale, ikafika masaa ya kitu saa 2 saa 3 usiku. Nikaenda mpaka kwa nyumba yangu, nikaingia. Kuingia kwa nyumba, nilipata ule mke wangu wakiwa kwa kitanda na mwanaume mwingine. Vile niliwapata pale, nilijawa na hasira sana na nikamuuliza mke wangu kwa nini amefanya hivyo. Mke wangu alianza kunitukana na kuniambia maneno mabaya, kuniita maneno ambayo siwezi kuyataja hapo. Kwa hivyo mimi nikazidi kujawa na hasira na nikaondoka nikawaacha hapo. Kwa hivyo vile niliondoka, kabla niondoke niacha kama nimefukuzwa ule mwanaume kwa nyumba yangu, na ule mwanaume akatoka akaenda, na mimi pia nikaondoka nikaenda. Vile nienda nikakaa mahali, nikaanza kupigwa na mawazo vile ningejiua. Lakini pia nikakumbuka nina watoto wangu wadogo ambao bado wananitegemea. Nina wazazi wangu mama na baba bado wananitegemea. So hilo wazo sikuliwaza sana, lakini lilinikujia kwa akili. Toka hapo nirudi tena nyumbani siku ambayo ilikuwa inafuata. Baada ya kulala nje, karudi nyumbani, bado nikamuuliza mke wangu kwa nini alifanya hivyo. Mke wangu alisema mimi ni maskini na mimi ndio nafanya aweze kudanganya kwenye ndoa. kwa sababu sikutaka mambo mengi, singetaka hasira zinipande nikaweza kumuua ama kumchapa. Nilipanda gari tena nikarudi Nairobi, kwa sababu vile nimesema tu watoto wananitegemea na wazazi pia wananitegemea. So baada ya wiki moja, hata wiki moja mbili haikuisha, nikasikia kuwa bibi yangu alitoka nyumbani na akaacha watoto na akaenda kuolewa na ule mwanaume ambaye nilikuwa nimempata na yeye. Kutoka hiyo siku mambo hayajawahi kuwa sawa tena kwa maisha yangu. Nimeteseka sana na fikra, shinda nikiwaza, kwa sababu aliniachia mtoto mdogo ambaye alikuwa ananyonya. Pia kuna wengine wawili wakubwa. Wazazi wangu ndio kila mtu ananitegemea, na wazazi wangu wamezeeka, kwa hivyo hawezi lea watoto wangu. Na mambo yakazidi kuwa magumu. Iliniadhiri sana kimawazo, pia kiafya. Mimi kama mwanaume, ile kujidhamini ilikuja ikaisha. Nikawa siwezi ongea mbele ya wanaume wengine. Kijiji kizima kikaunda ile picha kuwa bibi yangu alikuwa na tabia kama hizi. Nikipita mahali, nikienda pale nyumbani, nikipita mahali watu wanaanza kunicheka. Watu wanaanza ile maneno ya madharau, maneno ya kejeli nikipita. Wakati mwingine watu wananitukana, sema mimi ni mwanaume bwege, kwa sababu bibi alienda akiniharibia jina huko nje.
But what are some of the causes of GBV?
The mental health of the perpetrator is one of the main reasons. And there are those who were survivors as children. There are those who saw their parents fighting. So when they grow up, they see it as a norm. My parents fought, so it is normal for a husband and wife to fight. There are those who've grown up in cultures where they believe if your man beats you, it's a show of love. So like I was saying, a lot of it comes from culture and how we grow up. There's also the mental stability of this person, because there are those who, when they are drunk, they're very violent, but also it shows a sign of underlying issues. Because if someone is very violent, where is this anger coming from? It's a lot of unresolved psychological trauma, unresolved psychological issues. So there's a lot of psychological background that comes with violence. But there are those people who are just, let's say, law breakers, you know, because when you see someone who rapes a child, defiles a child to hurt the mother, this is not someone with a psychological problem. This is actually a criminal. But when it comes to violence, when it comes to someone who is intoxicated, then the one is, we put it under the psychological. You can find someone who is an addict who would rather hold you at gunpoint, beat you up to get money to go get drugs. So addiction also contributes to GBV. There are those who are addicted to sex. They also contribute to the rape cases. So it's wide. There is no one main cause. You can say this is the main cause of GBV. No, it's just wide.
Addressing the reverberation of gender-based violence, sensitization is viewed as the best weapon.
The first thing we can do is sensitization. Start it from school. Let the children know. Let them know if you are defiled right now. If someone even looks at you, talks at you suggestively, it doesn't matter who it is, your father, your brother, your neighbor, your teacher. So sensitization is the most important thing. Start from school, go to the community, let's get the conversation going, which is actually what you're doing here. Because GBV has been a taboo topic for the longest time. If people fight at home, ini mambo ya nyumbani, let it be sorted at home. If a child is raped, ini mambo ya nyumbani, the rapist was an uncle, let it be dealt with at home. Let's speak out about GBV cases. Let people know the right thing to do. Let's keep our children safe. And now let's help each other to heal.
I think the setup that we are having, we need to have a lot more sensitization. It can come from probably the nyumba kumis or probably parental forums that exist in our communities. We can have probably school parental programs where our parents come and we sensitize them, or probably the Ministry of Education can also form forums out there where parents can be in groups or have at least a space where these parents can be sensitized on matters gender-based violence, because sometimes the assumption is just to do with men fighting women and women fighting men. You see, so we look at it at a very high level, because now it is just rampant and it's being handled in a very haphazard manner. Even for us as the guiding and counseling teachers, we need to be a bit more proactive. I know we are limited in terms of how much we can do, but then we need to sensitize these boys a little more so that they can be able to speak out with confidence. They speak out loudly if there is any of them going through such, because when you hear one story, you may deal with it, but then you may never know how much more has happened out there in silence.
Gender-based violence is unjustifiable and must stop. It is never your fault. Speak up and report the cases to the National GBV toll-free helpline, which is 1195, the National Police, which is 0800 730 999, and the Child Helpline, which is 116.
So what I would speak to the boy child is voice it out. Speak it out. Speak your mind. Speak your case. Share your story. It will change somebody's life. It will help transform the society to be a better space for everybody, because suffering in silence just aggravates the damage. But then when you share your story, you save a life. You share your story, you save a society. You share your story, you'll save a nation. Because if they don't do that, then they're cascading the damage even to their generations. You know, there's a generation behind them. So if you don't save it now, then what will happen to your child and to the child who will come after that? No matter what other people may feel about it, it's about them. You look at yourself in terms of, what do I want to become? Do I want to die in silence, or I want to say the issue as it is? And then probably I may be supported, I may be helped, other than dying in silence.
Together, let us fight GBV. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Angela Bombay. Until next time, good day.